That was the worst pain that I've ever been through in my life. Every day I woke up and I thought, how am I still here? When someone dies, you pull yourself to pieces. You really do. You rip yourself absolutely to shreds. And so many people they didn't know, they were like, Georgia was always dancing and singing. She was such a clown. Like, why didn't she tell us? And I'm like, because she couldn't explain why she felt that way. She didn't know why she felt that way. She just knew that she did. And she got in a really good routine and she was having therapy. But then of course the lockdown came along. Just everything got taken away. And it was just really scary how quickly she went downhill. I didn't know she only had one more session. In that session, they identified her as being at high risk. So the therapists, they went back to the doctors. They kind of went, she's an adult, she's over 18. We don't share this information with parents. It was like 6 or 8 weeks later. She obviously found everything just so overwhelming. She just couldn't cope with it, that she made that decision to take her own life.
Hello and welcome. Today I have the privilege of sitting with my good friend Sophie Alway, who is also the founder of an organisation called Georgia's Voice. This is quite a special moment for me. We've been friends for quite a long time. We've done a lot of things together. Climbed a mountain for her and her organisation, which was really hard, by the way. But we've never had the opportunity to sit down and have a recorded conversation like this. This is going to be a really special episode. How are you today, Sophie?
I'm okay. I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
So you haven't done this a lot, have you?
I haven't done this at all.
Okay, well there you go. You know what I think of you and everything that you do, have done, been through. It's a hard thing to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, what are you most nervous about today?
Being vulnerable. I get told that I'm brave because I talk about Georgia and I talk about Georgia's Voice, but I don't really. I have a story, I have like a script, a set thing that I say. I don't go deep. That's how I don't get emotional. That's how I protect myself.
Are you worried about being emotional today?
Of course.
Yeah. Where I'd like to start is where I often start, and that is, how did you become Sophie Alway?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. I think everybody becomes who they are, don't they, through the things that have happened to them throughout their life, their relationships, their experiences, the people they meet, the things that they do. That can also, I think, make you who you're not. I didn't realise a lot of things till after Georgia died, going through that. Previous to Georgia dying, I hadn't done any kind of work on myself, you know, counselling, therapy for all the things that happened when I was younger. You know, when I left home and I was out of that situation, I wanted to bury it all, you know, I didn't want to. It felt to me that the only thing that was worse than that was going and talking about it with somebody. Yeah. So I buried it, or I thought I did, and I thought that was that, and I can go and live my life now. I can do what I want. I'm free, you know. But of course you're not. You don't know that you're carrying it with you, and it affects everything that you do every day of your life. I really, really did not know how much power that situation still had over me. One of the things that came out of all the stuff that happened when I was younger, that you know, the way that we were brought up, not feeling safe, not feeling valued, not being able to ever voice your opinion or feel important, any of those things, it makes you, I was really just striving to be absolutely perfect all of the time. And I carried on trying to do that, and I carried on trying to live up to somebody else's values, somebody else's expectations of me, which you're always going to fail at because they always found something else. If you did that one thing perfectly, there was always something else anyway. So I hadn't realised that I carried on doing that. Everything that I did, I was just trying to prove I was the best at everything all the time. Everything I did, I had to do it competitively. And, you know, even when I had my children, it's like, well, I'm going to be the perfect parent, and just like not ever being able to ask for help. And it wasn't until I lost Georgia, like, that was like just the worst pain that I've ever been through in my life, emotionally and physically. Oh, I didn't even know how I was going to get through it, you know. I didn't even think. Every day I woke up and I thought, how am I still here? Like, how am I still waking up? Every time I went to sleep, I thought, oh, I think this pain is going to kill me. I don't think I'm going to wake up tomorrow. That is what eventually made me brave enough to go and seek some help. It brought up so much, and I just was looking back at my life and my parenting. And when someone dies, you pull yourself to pieces, you really do, and everything you've done, and it just, yeah, you really do. You rip yourself absolutely to shreds. And I thought, well, I want to do better, and I want to be better, I want to be a better person, and I need to deal with all this stuff. You know, I wasn't the parent that I wanted to be. I wasn't the person that I wanted to be, and I realised that I was still trying to live up to somebody else's standards. And I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. So that gave me the bravery to, you know, the courage, not the bravery, the courage to go and have counselling, life coaching, do lots and lots of work on myself, and kind of start realising who I wanted to be and what I liked, and to place some value on myself and some self-belief in myself, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned a few times there Georgia's passing, but some people might not know what that means. It might be worth just explaining who Georgia is and what happened.
Yeah, of course, of course. So I've got two beautiful daughters. Georgia was my eldest. She, like me, suffered with her mental health from about secondary school age, I guess, which I think started with some bullying. She didn't love herself at all. She hated everything about herself. It was so horrible, and she was so tortured by her thoughts, but also felt like, you know, she'd made a couple of attempts on her life before, and when I tried to get help for her, and when I kept saying to her, when we go to the doctors, why do you say you're okay? Why do you say you're fine now? You know, and she was like, because I don't understand why I feel like this, and I don't feel like I deserve help. She would be like, she would compare herself to like friends and family that had maybe had really traumatic experiences, and she'd go, I know I have a lovely home, and I know I have, like, I'm lucky to have you guys. I have all of this stuff, like, I don't deserve, I shouldn't feel this way. She felt bad about herself for feeling that way, so she really struggled to ask for help. So she would bury it, like I did, and you know, so many people they didn't know, they were like, Georgia was always dancing and singing, she was such a clown, like, why didn't she tell us? And I'm like, because she couldn't explain why she felt that way. She didn't know why she felt that way. She just knew that she did, you know, and she really struggled being by herself. She needed to be around people all of the time, because that would take that focus off, you know, everything that was going on in her mind. And after her second attempt, I refused to bring her home from the hospital. I said, no, I know she's telling you she's okay, but she is not okay, and I can't be scared to go to sleep every night not knowing if she's going to try and do this again. We did manage to get her some help and some support and some counselling. She worked out that having a routine, going to work, she found a job that she liked, and she had some really good friends, and she quickly realised that being up on her phone all night wasn't a healthy thing to do, so she got in a really good routine, and she was having therapy. But then of course the lockdown came along, you know, and just as it did for a lot of people, just everything got taken away.
Yeah.
And it was just really scary how quickly she went downhill. And she didn't tell me, her therapy went online. I didn't know she only had one more session, and in that session they identified her as being at high risk. So the therapists, they went back to the doctors, they kind of went, she's an adult, she's over 18, we don't share this information with parents. So I didn't know she wasn't still accessing that therapy. I didn't, you know, it was like 6 or 8 weeks later that she obviously found everything just so overwhelming. She just couldn't cope with it, and she made that decision to take her own life.
So that's what you were speaking about when you were talking about Georgia earlier. We're going to come back to it, obviously, for obvious reasons, and talk about what you did after that and all of those things, because it's such an important part of who you are and what you've become. The way you describe waking up surprised every day that you're still around, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you found the strength to keep waking up every day. So is there anything around that you think is important?
As I said, I wasn't brave enough. I did not have the confidence to face my past before losing Georgia. It felt like that was too painful. I hadn't clicked, I hadn't realised that actually I was carrying that all the time. And that's why I was using alcohol, you know, when I found, I didn't know I had anxiety. I just knew that when, you know, if people were coming round, or if there was something that I got that little feeling, I didn't even really know what it was, I'd be like, have a glass of wine, I feel better.
Yeah.
So I had lots and lots of different, not necessarily very healthy coping mechanisms, but I thought I was going along okay. And I guess losing Georgia made me look at those things and look at maybe some of the patterns that she was repeating, because I'd modelled those behaviours. I'd showed her those things. I hadn't realised that that's what I was doing. And I had a lot of guilt, thinking if I'd been more honest, if I'd been more open about how things had been for me, instead of refusing to talk about them because they felt too painful for me. And also my reactions to things, you know, I know now that I did the best that I could. I know this. Still very painful though, knowing that I said a lot of things to Georgia that would have made her feel worse, and I didn't know that at the time, because I also felt like back then everything felt like, because I'd always been told I was useless, or I was wrong, or I was, you know, just being told that you're nothing all the time. So when I had really tried to create this perfect life and be a perfect parent and everything to be perfect, when Georgia wasn't happy, and I would sometimes say things like, what is so bad? Like, what is so bad about me, or about our home, or, you know, and I have massive guilt about that, because it wasn't, and she even said to me once, you're making it about you, it's not about you. And I took that personally instead of looking at it and like looking at how it was making her. So all of this stuff, it's like losing Georgia was this huge catalyst for change. I wish it didn't happen. I've definitely become a better person for it. I wish something different could have happened to create that change. Yeah, I just could suddenly see things so much more clearly and just think, oh my God, why did I say that thing? Why did I do that thing? Like that wasn't a good thing to do. And that I had had someone making me feel bad my whole life, but that perhaps then I was doing things that were making other people feel bad. I was doing the same thing in a different way. I hadn't realised that I was doing it, and I really didn't know. And that's the only kind of, and you know, Mita's still here. I can say to me, I'm so sorry that I did that. And I know that her and my family think I'm very hard on myself, and they kind of go, we've got so many good memories. We have so many good memories, like, you know, and they'll say, we know you love us, we know you loved us then. You know, there's so much more forgiving of you than you are of yourself. Until something like that happens, you don't realise how detrimental your experience is from when you are younger. Growing up in a house where you're just continuously told, children are seen and not heard, being told to be quiet, being laughed at, being told that you're useless, and just, yeah, there are just so many things. Humiliating experiences. You know, there are lots of things that I knew not to repeat with my children, but then so many things I did repeat in a different way, and I didn't know that the outcome might be the same.
But it might not have been a choice. In fact, I'm almost certain it wasn't. These things happen to us in life, and it leaves an emotional imprint. And when that emotional imprint is activated, you're pretty much no longer in control of your behaviour.
Yeah.
You're just playing out the old reaction, you know, to the emotion. But what really strikes me there is sometimes in life, incredibly devastating things happen that are unthinkable. And in those moments, it changes how we perceive reality. Like everything that once was stable is no longer stable. Everything around you feels like it can change. It's terrifying. It feels like life is never going to be the same again. And all of a sudden in that moment, you can see so clearly what matters and what doesn't.
Yes.
And I think what that is going on what you said. You were performing your whole life. You perhaps didn't know or didn't feel allowed to know what your values were, know what your beliefs were. You were mimicking what you thought was right. And in that moment that happened, when Georgia was gone, all of that just gets kicked to the curb. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? You
Exactly
know?
that.
And now all of a sudden, you know what matters, but in your instance, it must have felt too late.
It did. It was, oh God, so many things change. My job, I couldn't go back to my job. That felt really unimportant. And it also, that was another thing that I picked to pieces. You know, I was a beautician and I used to do loads of treatments for the girls, and that felt like a nice bonding thing that we did together. But then I looked back on it and I was like, oh my God, was I teaching them that you needed all this stuff to be, or to, you know, to feel beautiful? Should I have let them have eyelashes? Should I have let them have nails? Should I have done all of those things? And yeah, it was so hard. I just really realised that I had such little faith and belief in myself, and that I'd always sought validation from other people and other things. So, for example, like, I felt the need to look really perfect all the time, you know? I always had hair extensions, nail extensions, lash extensions, tan, and I would not, my first husband never saw me without makeup. I mean, I wore makeup to bed and I'd get up and take it off and put it back on again, you know? Wouldn't answer the door without it, and even when I went to the gym, I wore makeup. And after Georgia died, I realised, I was like, oh my gosh, like, even when I post on social media, I'm so obsessive about who's liking it, who's seeing it, and would delete things if I was worried, like, if they hadn't had any likes in even just a few minutes, then I'd be like, oh my God, I sound stupid in that post, or I shouldn't have, like, it's cringy or whatever, and I'd delete it, and I'd be beating myself up about it all day. And, you know, there were so many ways that I was looking to get validation from other people, which is what led to me going the complete opposite way and wanting to prove or see how it felt to not have any of those things. So I went to the absolute extreme. I mean, I deleted all of my personal social media. I chopped all my hair off. I stopped wearing makeup completely. All of those things that I had thought were so important. If somebody can like me like this, and just really just trying to just be myself and only do things that I wanted to do and not to please other people, myself learning what I liked. You know, I wasn't even sure what I liked because I was doing things to make other people happy all the time.
Such a confusing state. A lot of time we hear, oh, you should love yourself. Listen, if you've been practicing self-loathing for 20 years, loving yourself is impossible.
Yeah.
Liking yourself is near impossible. Getting to know yourself, though, being more interested and curious about who you are, what you do and don't like, this is the work. This is the work, because then all of a sudden you realise, oh, I actually don't need to, or actually don't care what that person thinks, you know. Exactly. And that's very freeing, you know?
And it gives you the freedom to learn things about yourself,
and make mistakes.
And like, one example of that, like, I'd thought, I mean, people had always said to me, you know, like, when there's camping trips at school, or like later on in life, people do things like that, and everyone always said to me, oh my God, you'd hate that, wouldn't you? You would hate that. Like, you know, look at you, you can't even, like, you have to be so perfect all the time and all of this. And I was like, yeah, I'd hate that. And like, you just, what? Why wouldn't you? Why do you take that on?
That's literally your life.
And now, oh my God, I've discovered it is the thing I love the most in the whole world. I don't care. Sometimes, you know, you're camping and you can't get to a shower or look in a mirror for a week. Well, do anything with your hair.
Okay, you know.
And I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's amazing. It's one of those experiences you're having, you know. So, yeah.
One of the things I did try to work out was that relationship between fear, need, and bravery. And I can hear it in your stories somewhat, and it's that you had this fear, you lived your life through the lens of, I must always do this, this and this, otherwise I've done it wrong, and if I've done it wrong, that's the end of the world type of thing. So you were being driven in life by fear. Yeah. And then, because you were doing that, you wasn't looking at what you needed. So you were neglecting your needs. So you're living in fear and neglecting your needs. We can hear that's not going to end up very well. So what's the turning point here, I think, and you said it earlier, bravery, courage, because you can't be brave about first feeling fear. You probably spent all your time saying not even realizing you were scared of disappointing or failing or not being perfect or whatever.
No.
But that moment that Georgia died, reality kicked in, and all of a sudden it was so clear what you didn't care about. You know? What I think must have been more difficult was to find the bravery to keep going, but also to start looking at what you needed and what you didn't need.
Yeah. It really does feel like when you say heartbreak, like heartbreaking, it really feels like your heart is breaking. And yeah, every part of your body hurts, every part of your body. I don't think I could move off the sofa for about 3 weeks. And people kept saying, you need to eat, you need to eat. And I was like, tell my body that, you know? I couldn't physically swallow to eat food, you know. It felt like everything was shutting down. And quite honestly, I didn't want to be here. I felt such a strong need to be with Georgia. I was like, she was so alone with her mental health, and she was alone when she died. That was a horrible thought and a horrible feeling. And I just thought, she needs me to be with her. And I felt a huge need to be with her. But then also knowing and seeing what everyone else was going through and the pain that it was causing everyone, you know, what Georgia had done. And to a certain extent, I couldn't deal with that because my pain was too much. But of course, I had my other daughter, and I kept looking at her and just being so worried about her and how she was coping with it. You know, it's just complete devastation, and everything in your life that you had done every day up till then. Like, our house was always full of, like, we had music playing all the time and things like that. And I couldn't even, I remember sitting down one evening and Mia was saying, like, our house is so quiet, like, I miss music. And I was like, I can't play music, Mia.
Yeah.
I said, I can't. I said, because I'm waiting for Georgia to start dancing or singing or, you know. So she was struggling with that. And then I was saying, I can't. And, you know, I knew that I really needed to be here for Mia. And I think once I knew that I needed to stay and that I wasn't, you know, I kept falling asleep and kind of, I really did think I was going to die in my sleep. I really did. That was a strong belief that I had in that time. I just thought, your body can't survive this, it can't. But it didn't. And yeah, I think once I'd made that choice, once I'd been like, okay, I'm staying, I can't feel this way forever. That's not, you can't. Who could carry on living like this? So that's when I started thinking, so what can I do? You need things, don't you? You need a purpose, you need something to work towards. So that's when I started thinking, okay, so I can't be with Georgia. I can't do anything for her anymore. But I still wanted to, so what can I do to make Georgia proud, to feel like I've learned from the lessons that she has taught me? So, like, I wanted people to remember her. I was like, her life can't end at 19 years, that's so cruel. She should still be here. So, yeah, wanting her name to be everywhere. Wanting to do things that it felt like that she would be really proud of, and to create this legacy for her. And, you know, just when I realised how many other young women were in not the same situation as Georgia, but had those same feelings and had all their support taken away, and that's when I kind of thought, maybe that's where I can help. And I didn't really know how. I didn't know how that was going to happen, but that's where it started.
I mean, how long after Georgia dying did you start that?
I think we had our very first group 3 months after Georgia died.
3 months.
I am not going to lie. Everyone was going, it's too soon. You can't do this. Like,
do you think it was? On reflection? Not that.
Yes and no. I did take on a lot very quickly before I dealt with my own stuff, and I got very overwhelmed a lot of the time,
Yeah.
and I was still having regular like meltdowns. But if I hadn't started it then, would I still be here?
Let's face it, today there is an organisation called George's Voice that exists. But just briefly explain what exactly George's Voice is.
George's Voice is a suicide prevention charity for young women aged 18 to 25 that live in Cornwall. But what we are here for is to support young women. You don't need to feel suicidal to come to George's Voice. You know, the whole point is that prevention, is giving people somewhere to go, hopefully before they feel that way. You know, there are so many things that lead to poor mental health, isn't there? You know, like isolation, lack of support, not understanding yourself, other people not understanding you, not having community. Like, there's just so many things. So that is what George's Voice is there for, to create those connections, that community, build your tribe, build your support network, to learn those coping mechanisms to deal with poor mental health days. Because it isn't, a lot of people feel like they go and get something to feel better or cured or fixed or whatever.
Yep.
And it's not that, it's just like that maybe when these things happen, it won't have such an effect on you, or it won't be so devastating that you're like, I know how to deal with that. Or I know I can get through this day. This hasn't got to be my last day. You know, I won't feel like this forever. Everything good and bad passes, you know, and it's having the confidence that it will.
Do you mind if I offer another spin to it as well?
Yeah, of course.
You mentioned earlier that you would take Georgia to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then you would say, why do you keep telling them you're okay when you're not?
Yeah.
And she would say to you, because I don't know how to explain it. And as I sit here talking to you, behind you is a board, and it says values, and on there it's got respectful, kindness, welcoming, understanding, accepting, aware, trusting, accountability. And I think what you're also doing is giving them that language to articulate how they feel. Yeah. So that they can explain, you know, these emotions don't come with a little book that you can, that like a dictionary that explains, oh, but this is how you feel. These are the symptoms, and it must mean that you're this, or you're grieving, or you're doing this. And what you're doing is you're sitting these girls around each other. You know, there's different generations as well. I know there's older women there as well. And you're all going, yeah, well, you know, when this happened to me, I felt like this. I'm not sure it's that whole idea of eldership, right? It's what we were supposed to be like. We were all supposed to live in little villages, and the elders would teach us the rights and wrongs, the values and all those things. Well, of course you're not going to be able to explain how you feel. Why would you? Did you say Georgia was since what age did you say she was going to the doctor?
I mean, she started to struggle when she went to secondary school, so like 10 or 11.
So show me the 11-year-old that has the emotional language to explain how they feel. I don't know if there is one. Yeah. And if they are, they're very lucky. You know, so I think that's something else that you're offering as well. And I think that's wonderful. I've got some more questions. When life breaks your heart, most people focus on what they've lost, but you've had to rebuild who you are after losing Georgia. What have you learned about identity that most people don't understand until life forces them to start again? God. Big question.
These questions.
I know, man. Lots of words.
God. So I've gone through that whole phase where I stripped everything back, and like now, you know, like I've got eyelashes on today, but I've done that for me, not for anybody else. Like, I'm not ever doing things to impress anybody else, and I can go out without them. You know, I'm certainly not trying to live up to anybody else's standards at the moment. You know, I have learnt what things are important to me and prioritising those, and I can say no a lot more easily now. Nice. You know, I couldn't do that before, and that was exhausting. Doing a lot more of the things that are important to me and that are important to my family, and putting them first, and realising that other people and their emotions aren't my responsibility. Ooh. Doing the work on yourself, you are teaching other people, you're still helping other people, because they see you doing that and they see the change in you, and they see and they go, wow, you deal with that really well now. That would have sent you into a meltdown before, or whatever, you know? And like, how have you managed to do that?
From what you're saying, it sounds like you've stopped self-abandoning. So you don't abandon your own needs for other people's.
No.
But in order to do that, you had to learn what your needs were first, so that you knew
Yes.
what you were abandoning them.
Yeah.
And now you're role modeling that, which is like, let's face it, right? Kids, they don't listen to a single thing we say, but they never fail to do what we do. You know?
Exactly.
You know, so it's that case of like I have a confession. So a little while ago, I went to a pub and there was a really nice glass that I wanted for the beer, and I took it. I'm not going to say where. I just took it. And then a couple of days later, we were at another pub, and my son says to me, "I really like this Coke glass, Dad. I'm going to take it." I went, "You can't take that." And he looked at me and he said, "You did." And in that moment, I realised I'd messed up. I was just like, okay. So I vowed. I don't know if I've done it, but I did vow that I was going to take this glass back. Yeah. And make an example of the situation. I'm not sure it's necessary now. I think he's forgotten about it. But what it highlighted to me was, don't tell people to do stuff that you're not willing to do yourself. Like
exactly that.
Don't be that hypocrite. You know.
No.
So what you're doing now is you're role modeling, and I think that's fantastic. And you are a hell of a role model for what it's worth. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Georgia's voice was born from unimaginable pain.
Yeah.
Looking back, what do you feel is the difference between using pain as a reason to stop and using pain as a reason to serve?
Pain, you can't avoid it. It's going to happen. You're going to have painful things happen. You're going to lose people. That you can't. That can't be helped. You do have a choice what you do with it, and everyone doesn't have to go and set up a charity or do something really dramatic like that. But I think you do have to find ways of taking that pain and putting it into something, because you can't feel like that forever. It's so painful. I had that experience of living with years and years of trauma and not dealing with it. And that was awful. You know, once I decided I was going to live and I was going to stay here, I needed to find a way to harness that pain and put it into something that felt meaningful, that felt important, that felt like I was making a difference, that I was doing some good. Yeah.
I love that word, harness. I think that's the perfect word. You say you're not articulate. That was brilliantly articulated. Harnessing those emotions, because that's what pain is, really. It's a message, right? It's there to tell you that something really, really matters. No matter what the situation is, it matters. That's literally what it's for. Like, if you've got a headache, it's telling you something's not right here. If you simplify it, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So you took that pain and you managed to read the message, and you said, I feel like the way that I was role modeling before wasn't the way I want to continue to do that. If I'm going to stay, I need to be different.
Yes.
I need to role model different.
Yes.
And I'm also going to do that. I mean, like you say, you've done it on an epic scale. But I do think you're the right person for the job.
Yeah.
Because you're not turning up as the perfect princess anymore. You're turning up with flaws and all.
Yeah.
You know? We live in a world where people are more connected than ever, yet loneliness seems to be growing. What do you think young women are truly starving for emotionally that social media, success and achievement cannot provide?
Social media, in particular, makes people feel like they're connected, but you're not, are you? It doesn't make up for. It's that actual face-to-face, that those emotional connections, those relationships. That's what they feel like. They've got all of these friends, all of these, but actually what is on there a lot of the time, it really isn't real life. People are only putting on what they want other people to see, and then you're comparing yourself to that, but it's not the full story. So that can make you feel more lonely and more isolated,
and like you're getting it wrong somehow.
Exactly. And it makes you feel like you're missing out on stuff. You know what everyone's doing all of the time.
It's
You
mad,
know,
isn't
we didn't. We would go home after school, and if you hadn't made arrangements to see your friends and you didn't have any way of getting hold of them, you wouldn't know if two of them had met down the road and done something together. Whereas now you see that on social media and you feel like you're being left out of something, whereas in reality they haven't been and made plans behind your back, they've just bumped into each other.
Yeah.
It's like it's rubbed in your face. I don't know, yeah, I think it causes more isolation, and like our phones and social media is all designed to just be so addictive, and that at an age where it's very hard, like it's hard for us at our age not to find our phones and social media addictive, but at that age it's even harder.
Oh.
And we're all saying, get off your phone, stop spending so much time on your phone, and then they turn around and you're on your phone, and
Exactly that.
everything
exactly,
is on your phone, isn't
yeah.
it? Everything is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even think for yourself anymore. You're like, I'll Google that, or I'll ask AI, or
yeah.
you know, it's like you didn't have any of that stuff. I don't know. It's useful for so many things, but for their young brains, I just don't think it's just too much. I don't think it's healthy, and I think it's leading to more isolation. And I think they're just using their phones for everything and not learning to be themselves, not learning through like that, just constantly overstimulated and overwhelmed. There isn't that time to discover maybe what you like and you don't like, to be bored,
Yeah.
to have to go and find your own entertainment, or, you know, everything is just there, yeah, and it's not always good, is it?
No, I think you highlighted earlier as well that Georgia had noticed that when she didn't sit up doom scrolling that she felt better. So that's the reason the question is there, really, because it's like, it's a really, I mean, we're focusing exclusively on girls and young girls or young women, but I think it's a massive lesson overall, really. I think you highlighted that exactly right. How are you supposed to find who you are if you go onto this device that uses all of these tried and tested, science-backed, research-backed methods to convince you of who you should be?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to do that? Like, you're fighting against the tide, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's so hard for parents because they might not want to let their kids have these things, but all the other kids have them. You know, we resisted having Wi-Fi at our house for such a long time, and the kids didn't have phones and stuff. And I still have at home a letter that Georgia wrote to me when she was about maybe, it was after she went to secondary school, and it was just like, Dear Mum and Lee, and it was saying, please can we be like every other normal family and have Wi-Fi, and I promise I won't suddenly spend all my time in my room and become antisocial. And like the guilt that I felt because they were like saying that they were missing out because all their friends had all this other stuff. But of course it's very hard. Once they have these things, it is hard. You know, I remember saying, okay, like when I allowed them to have social media and stuff, it's like, I have your passwords, and they soon set up another account or change their passwords, or...
Oh, they know way more than we do. Like,
they really,
absolutely.
really do. I'm thinking this is Georgia's social media, and really she just had another one that I was
a bit
blocked
boring.
from. Yeah. So it's, once they're on there, that's it. It's so hard, it's so difficult, it's so hard.
Because you're fighting against, like, everything on those apps are deliberate.
Yeah.
It's all designed to keep the person using the app, using the phone. So you're fighting against those things. Kids don't stand a chance. Like you said, we don't.
No.
I was watching something the other day on TV, and the adverts came on, and I sat on my phone because the adverts were on, because I couldn't just sit for a minute.
Yeah, and do nothing.
That's absurd. But so I was scrolling, and then I missed the start of the next part. So I rewind it too far. I'm back on my phone again. I've done it again. And I'm like, what is happening here? And I say the other day, this happened quite a while ago, and it made me realise I need to put my phone away somewhere else. And now I have this rule with myself. It used to be 7, sometimes it creeps a bit later, but I usually put my phone in the office now because, quite frankly, and I'll say it out loud, I can't be trusted with it.
No.
Because if it's there, I'll look at it. And what was amazing to me is when I stopped doing that, how much I just reached for it, even though it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is nuts. I would never have told you that I was that person, but I was, and I am, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, it's constant all the time, and lots of time you don't even know what you're picking it up for.
No, exactly.
You just pick up and you look at it, and there's us.
You're picking it up to hope that there's a reason, and then obviously there always is, because as soon as you pick up your phone, a notification coincidentally comes through.
Of course it does.
You know, you need to buy this, or you need to look at that, or you need to answer this message, or whatever. So, I mean, what do you think overall the big message there is, you know, like you just said, I can hear it now. You say to a young girl, you know, don't go on your phone as much. It's kind of like
that doesn't work.
Absolutely, I can
I
see
think
how it wouldn't.
it's teaching them how about the reason why they're addicted to their phone, and also if you're going to spend 6 or 8 hours a day on your phone, should we at least try and make it a positive place to be, and like little changes that they can make, so that, because the thing is they'll look up everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And if they are feeling like they want to end their own life, they might start researching about that, or self-harm and things like this. And your phone shows you what you look at.
Yeah.
It shows you more of that. So, and then that can be seen as like signs, and so it's teaching them that no, your phone's got that message from you that this is what you want to see. So, what do you love? What makes you feel good? Ducks, fluffy puppies, okay, well, you need to search for that. And then that's what's going to come on your phone. And actually, it's okay to unfollow people that don't make you feel good about yourself, even if that's your family. And you have to take them off your social media. They don't need to know that you've muted their account or whatever. There are lots of things that you can do to make it a safer place to be.
Yeah.
And also thinking about, like you said, if you can't stop yourself from picking your phone up all the time, you're going to do that, let's move it out of reach when you're trying to sleep, or when you're trying to concentrate, or even just going to places that don't have any Wi-Fi. You're going out for a walk, do you need your phone for that time? Or just so many things. If you recognise that you're doing this, what can you do about it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember get carried away with it. I ended up with an Apple Watch at one point, and then this happened to me, and I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. I was sat with a client in a public place, we were talking, and my Apple Watch buzzed. Yeah. And I looked at it because it buzzed. It was just a response. I didn't knowingly do it. And the client looked at me and went, "Sorry, do you have to go?"
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like that's the worst thing I could ever think of, them thinking that I'm not present.
Yeah.
So I stopped wearing that around that point. I mean, that was a really long time ago, and I don't even have an Apple Watch now. But I think I saw an ad once for Timex, I think it was, and it said, wear a Timex so you can tell the time without knowing you have 200 unread messages. And I was just like, that's a really good point. Like now we use our phones as a time, and when we look at it, there's always something to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant message, and I'm really glad that you said it. You work with young women who are often struggling to find their voice. In your experience, what's the first lie people tell themselves that slowly disconnects them from who they really are?
Like what I was saying about Georgia, that they're not worthy. Like they're not worthy of help or friendships or like anything really. What
meaning do you think the young girls are making of how they feel?
If you don't know what's going on, or you don't understand what's going on, you make up your own story, don't you?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're deciding that those people really don't like them, or that, they're telling themselves, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve that, I don't deserve help, I'm not worthy to be here, whatever. So like when people come to Georgia's Voice, and a lot of the time when they first come in, they don't want to share how they're feeling or share how their experiences and things, or they might think they're the only one that feels that way, or they might not feel like they deserve to be here. When they start hearing other people sharing their experiences, that's where the power is, I think, and they start realising that other people feel that exact same way. Yes. And they do that same thing, and it starts giving you an understanding of those feelings that you've got, and it makes you feel so much better that somebody else, I think, is feeling that way that you're feeling too, and then it's not such a big deal.
Yeah, you're not alone with it.
Yeah.
You can start to create empathy, because one of the ways I think is a really good way to be compassionate towards yourself is, if you're unable to be compassionate to yourself, is to think of someone you love and imagine them in the same situation.
Yeah.
So now when you see somebody else telling a story similar to yours, or at least the emotions are similar to yours.
And the way you feel towards them. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it's like, well, why can't you be like that to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so mean to yourself?
Absolutely, that's it. That's it. That's the essence of it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, why can't? And this is it. This is what it's all about. Self-development is about asking yourself the right questions. We will always come to unhelpful answers if we ask ourselves unhelpful questions. And when we start saying, well, hang on, why can't I be like that towards myself? That's a good question. Let's stay with that.
Yeah.
Why can't you? Or better still, what's stopping you from?
Yeah.
You know.
And what's lovely is, so a lot of the young women that come to us, you know, they're all so different, and they might not naturally be friends in real life. They might never naturally meet. They're so different. But those experiences form this special connection between them. So they might recognise that, oh, I might not have chosen you outside of here to be my friend, but that, yeah, they build these connections, and they are all just so kind to each other and understanding, and they recognise those feelings, and that's what kind of bonds them, you know. And then they can say those kind things that you need to hear, because they're like, oh my God, I know how that feels. So, you know, and to see them sharing advice with each other and kind of saying, oh, yeah, I felt like that, and it's just so special. It's really magic.
I love the vibe you've created here. All of the things that you've talked about, like understanding emotions and the togetherness. But one of the things that I think runs through this is there's humour.
Yes.
And I think, man, there are some people that they probably never thought they'd laugh again, let alone.
It's that freedom to be themselves, isn't it? They didn't. They maybe before they came here or outside of here, don't always feel like they have the freedom to be themselves, and they come in here and they realise there's no judgment, and there's no, like, you know, just be yourself. We really don't care, and yeah, to have that freedom to be that way, it's really freeing, isn't it? So
one question you probably didn't expect me to ask you, but I'm going to ask you because I'm curious about it, is, are you proud of yourself? I know you hate that question.
I hate these kind of questions. I do sit back, and I'm really, really proud of when I see all of the stuff, and it's not just me, but all of the stuff that we have created as a team here at George's Voice. Really, really proud. I never knew that it was going to grow into this, you know, when we just first started up that very first support group. In Falmouth, didn't know what it was going to turn into, and it's just, it's pretty amazing.
Just to wrap up, how many groups do you run now?
So we are covering about a third of Cornwall at the moment. We've got 3 more groups opening this year, and we're going to keep on opening those support groups until every young woman in Cornwall can easily access one, because transport in Cornwall is yes. So we have this hub, but realistically, there's a lot of people that, you know, that can't access it. So yeah, we've got the support groups. We have the drop-in hub, which is now open 7 evenings a week, you know, with different wellbeing activities to help promote good mental health. We've got our new counselling service as well, you know, so we can offer one-to-one therapy. You know, to anybody, any young woman aged 18 to 25, they don't have to have accessed our services. So, you know, if they don't want to come to a group and they don't want to come to the hub, they can still get that support. I feel like there really is something now for everyone, whereas it started off with just the groups, you know, and that wasn't for everybody.
First of all, is there anything more you'd like to sort of say about George's Voice?
The most important thing to me is getting the young people here that need to be here. I know how scary it is. Once people come, they always come back. It's getting people to come here for the first time, and I know how scary that feels. I know how it feels. It doesn't matter how many pictures I put on social media of what the front of the building looks like, you're still going to feel like you're in the wrong place. You're still worried that you're going to walk in and everyone's going to look at you, or, you know, but I'm not over-exaggerating when I just say how kind and welcoming everybody is, and everybody knows those feelings. They all felt that way the first time that they came, and some people came and went away again, or tried to come multiple times, you know, but it's, once you come in, it is just, you'll be so welcomed, and we're really open to doing anything to remove those barriers to people attending, even if that's meeting them outside a bit early, showing them around so they know where everything is, and, you know, anything that will help, really.
I mean, when I walked in here, I walked into the biggest smiles.
Yeah.
I totally agree, and I can't imagine what that must feel like when you are struggling and you do feel like you need some support to walk into that. So, well done on that. And obviously, you've got the charity shop still, all of those things. So lots of different ways to support yourselves and stuff. But although you've got that and you do that, and it's all to support the organisation, how can others support? So someone watching today that might want to make a donation or might want to just help in some way, how can they do that?
There are so many ways that people can help, from really small ways to really big ways, you know. So sharing what we do, that's a small way that you can help that has a big effect, you know. Each person is going to have so many followers and so many friends that maybe are outside of the reach that we have. So even just sharing what we do, how can we help young women if they haven't heard about what we're doing? So sharing, that's really, really important. Talking about what we do. But yeah, with donations, a lot of people feel like if they can't make a huge donation, that it's not going to make a difference. Whereas in reality, when I look at how many supporters we have on like Facebook, Instagram, things like that, you know, imagine if every single person donated £10 a month. You know, which what can you buy with £10 a month? You know, a nice bag of coffee or something. You know,
You're lucky if you can these days.
Yeah, and if everybody did that, I'm not saying big donations aren't helpful. Of course they are. Of course they are. They have their place as well. We appreciate everything, but you know, if everybody did that, if all of our supporters did that, we probably wouldn't ever have to worry about money again. We wouldn't have to keep applying for grants and jumping out of planes, climbing mountains.
I got altitude
we could concentrate. We could concentrate on doing the work that we need to be doing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you're right though. £10. I went to a pub the other day, bought 2 drinks, and it cost me 17 quid for 2 drinks. So you know, £10 in the grand scheme of things, you know, isn't a lot. Really, but it is a lot to you guys. It makes a massive difference.
Absolutely, it makes a huge difference.
And they could just go where to do that if they wanted to do that? Go on the website.
Yes, go on our website. There's a donate page where you can make a one-off donation or a regular donation, which is what is obviously the most helpful to us. But then even on our social media, like on our Instagram, you have the links at the top, and there's a link there that leads you to the donate page also. So
off the top of your head, do you know the Instagram handle and the website?
So the website is georgesvoice.co.uk, and then our Instagram and our Facebook is both George's Voice UK.
Perfect. Is there anything that you would like to say to the people watching, listening, that will help them with their self-development?
I think, don't be scared of it. It's so important. Like, you feel like going and doing work on yourself is going to be so painful and so hard, and it is for a short amount of time, but carrying that stuff for the rest of your life is a lot harder.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to give you a hug because this was hard for you. This was very hard for you, wasn't it? Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
I want to say that I really, really respect everything you've done. You're amazing. You know how I feel about you, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you for creating a safe space for me to do it.